Kingdom, ACU crew, Chiefs finally get back in the win column, Steve. The Chiefs got a win versus the Patriots. What'd you think about it?
I think we're back with another podcast for that ass today.
We
can be a little more lighthearted than we have been the last few weeks, but there's still some issues, man. Still not feeling good about what's going on. But yeah, got the W. So, I mean, at least they took care of business. A couple of players played really well today. So I'll give props to them here in a little bit. But yeah, some players just not getting it, bro. It's like beating their head into a wall, making the same mistakes over and over and over again.
Right.
And I'm sure we'll talk about all that too. But yeah, overall, I'm just glad the Chiefs got the win, took care of business. They've got to win out here to get a chance at the 1 seed. So good to see it.
Right. Hey, welcome back to All Chiefs Up, another podcast for that ass. How about it? Look, this is what I think. When we first seen it, I was about to, before the game got going, and by going, it was probably like the drive right before halftime, right? We went up 14-10, and then we kind of took care of business in the second half. But I was like, dude, I thought this whole thing last week was going to be scorched earth, and we're going to turn it on and light a fire. Nothing is lighting a fire under this team, it seems. Not a
just
single
one guy.
thing.
Just one guy. And his name's Patrick Mahomes. And I put it on Twitter today, Mike, or X, or whatever you want to call it. Brett Veach has done this man a disservice and dropped the ball. I love Brett Veach. I think he is one of the best GMs in football. I think he's done some great things. I think this year he dropped the ball, he missed the mark, and he let his franchise quarterback down. And you're starting to see the effects of it with a frustrated Patrick Mahomes.
Hey, there's nothing like using the drop the ball as our receiver.
Metaphor.
I mean, that's perfect. Yeah. That's a beautiful metaphor. Speaking of drop the ball, Kadarius Toney dropped. This guy, look, you give him one chance, you give him 2 chances, you give him 3 chances. He is still doing the same stuff. This is the exact same. Basically, it wasn't the same play, but the same type of play you've seen all the way back to the Lions in week 1, and he is still doing it. Mahomes visibly frustrated. Kadarius Toney has to go. I don't know what else to say. I'm tired of defending him. I think the Kadarius Toney experiment is done. Like, good. If he has great games the rest of the year, if he helps us win a Super Bowl, cool. But at the end of the year, you're gone. I don't do this anymore. I don't mess with this anymore. This is the same for MVS. I'm tired of it. I'm over MVS. He doesn't do anything. He didn't do anything again today. Granted, his snap count's coming down, as it should be. Skyy Moore catches 1 ball, fumbles, and luckily they call a cheap holding penalty. Right. So these guys stink. So you've got to get rid of MVS, Skyy Moore, and Kadarius Toney. These guys got to come off the field. And I think you just got to look at the 3 Rs. I think you got to go with Rice, and you've got to go with Richie James in the slot. And I think you bring back Justin Ross. I think it's Ross, Richie, and Rice. And I think
give him a shot, right?
And let Watson be that 4th one.
Ross could not be any worse than what we've been looking at all season.
He can't be. I'm tired of watching. I'm tired of watching Skyy Moore screw up. I'm tired of watching Kadarius Toney drop every pass thrown to him. And I'm tired of MVS just like not existing.
MVS is just eating up cap space. That's what he's doing.
MVS does as much for that team as I do, and he gets paid $11 million per year. Like,
amazing,
I watch on TV, he watches from the field. That's the difference.
Yeah, but you know, Skyy Moore's not going to go anywhere. Kadarius Toney's not going to go anywhere. They're on rookie contracts, but you have to get them off the field.
They need to go to the bench.
Until they earn the right to be on the field and play like an NFL player, then they need to sit on the bench. I'm with you. Rashee Rice looks good. It looks like the chemistry with Mahomes is getting together. He puts in the effort. Yes, he makes mistakes here and there. He's a rookie. He's supposed to, but feed him the ball. If he were making a bunch of mistakes and not doing anything productive, Mike, and he continued to do it for a year and a half, we'd be on the same boat about Rashee Rice.
Right.
But that's the thing. It's like this kid's actually getting the job done. And I'll tell you somebody else I don't want to give a pass to today. I don't want to give a pass to him. Everybody else is giving him a pass, and I'm not going to give him a pass. He's not in the same category as he needs to go on the bench, obviously, because he's a GOAT.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
But Travis Kelce absolutely sucks right now. I don't know what he's doing. His head's not in the game.
Right.
We
need to have a serious talk about Travis Kelce.
Yeah, he don't look interested.
Is it just me, or does this guy look so disinterested this year? It's not even funny. Every time they saw him on the sideline, this is his look. Here, let's just all do his look. There it was. That was for anybody listening on the podcast. If you're listening on Apple, if you're listening on Spotify, we just blankly stared off into space, and I'm sure you knew that. I didn't have to tell you that. You knew it. That's what Kelce's been doing. He looks disinterested. He really looks like at any moment he's just going to decide he's going to retire. He may retire mid-game at the way we're going. Like they just don't look like they have the fire. Mahomes looks like he's out there playing, and everybody else is just lollygagging, drag-assing everywhere.
I love Travis Kelce. He's probably been my favorite player for the last how many ever years he's been in the league, right? But I think what you're seeing from Travis Kelce this year, especially on his podcast, is a lot of fake fire. He wants to act like he's really into it and this and that, but let's be honest, if you don't put the work in behind that, it's not going to come to fruition. And I think his work has been focused on other things besides football for way too long. His interests are on other things, and you're starting to see that on the field. It's not coming so easy to him this year.
Right. And the fact that he's getting older.
Well, that's the thing. There's that too. And I'm not saying he's played bad. He's had a pretty decent year. But you don't see Kelce short arm touchdown passes. You don't see Kelce doing LeBron James flops instead of trying to catch the ball. Something's off there. I don't know what it is, but I don't like it. And he's got to get it together.
He made Taylor Swift drop an F-bomb in front of Jesus and the world on national TV. And I don't even think she was I don't think she was screaming at the official. I think she was telling Travis to man the F up and come on.
Yeah. I think that's
quit alligator.
I was reading her lips. Reading her lips.
She said, "Bro, I'm about to leave you for Mahomes." And then Brittany's like, "Hold up, buddy.
You're embarrassing me up here."
Look, it's insane. It's insane. I will say this, though. Besides Kelce having an off day, and look, you're not going to see that too often, I don't think. If Kelce would have been on the top of his game today, we beat that team by 40. If, we don't have the stupid Kadarius Toney turnover. And look, everybody was on Blake Bell's ass too. And let me tell you something. That was a badly thrown ball.
Poorly thrown
ball. Mahomes
ball.
should not have thrown it. He threw it way too late. He didn't have no juice behind it. The linebacker had a way better angle than Blake Bell. And everybody's like, Blake Bell didn't fight through it. He barely got his fingertip on it. If you actually slow down and watch the play, the other guy had more of his hands on it than Blake Bell did.
Yeah, Blake Bell was trying to come back to the ball. Right. But, I mean, how far can you come back in a Patrick Mahomes pass that goes 10 yards? It's like a half second.
Look, Look, it's okay to critique Mahomes. That was a bad pass. I'm sorry it was a bad pass. And anybody saying it was Blake Bell's fault, crazy. No, he come out of the gate firing. I did notice they were very 12 and 13 package oriented today. Lots of 2, and I haven't seen 3 tight end sets on a few, which is fine. They have to do that. And I honestly think you need to utilize Noah Gray even more.
Yeah, he looked good.
Noah Gray could be utilized way more.
Yeah, for sure. We've been saying that, though. You got to get him out there and use him. He's a pretty good route runner. He's good when he gets the ball in his hands. He's not going to be perfect either. But
Dez the gym. Love you, Dez. He says that was on Blake Bell. Why is he even out there? That's not on Blake Bell. I don't care what anybody says. If you go back and watch that play and you watch it slowed down, you watch everything else, Blake Bell was not at fault. The dude is standing still because that's what his route required. Mahomes waits, don't throw it, barely throws it over the middle. The linebacker's bearing down on it. It's just not his fault. I don't care what anybody says. And I know Chiefs Twitter and Chiefs X and all the big guys everybody wants to go listen to because they got 10,000, followers over there. I don't care what they say. If you're blaming that on Blake Bell, you do not know football. There is no way. He may take a little bit, but there is no way you blame that on Blake Bell. If Patrick Mahomes, I don't care who throws that ball, he could be throwing it to Tony Gonzalez, and that ball would have probably still got picked.
Well, my thing is, Mike, if a quarterback throws a bad ball they shouldn't throw, I'm never going to blame the receiver.
Right. It just shouldn't have been thrown.
It's like, so we're going to blame Blake Bell for not bailing out Patrick Mahomes on a terrible throw. Like, that's dumb. Can he take a little bit of blame? Sure. Maybe he could have been more aggressive, something like that. But overall, the ball should not have been thrown. And
everybody's saying this is on Blake Bell in the chat. You guys are out of your minds. You're out of your minds.
It's just wrong.
There's no way.
It is.
Go back and rewatch it. There's no way that's on Blake Bell.
Yeah, like you were saying, the linebacker was in a better position to catch the ball. He was able to get more hands on the ball than Blake Bell.
Right.
And that's all bang, bang, split second, but apparently Blake Bell was supposed to put on a Superman cape and come back and make
Not to mention, Mahomes throws it behind him. He throws it at a better angle to the linebacker than he did Blake Bell. Yeah. It's not on Blake Bell. Come on.
As good as Mahomes is, guys, he does make some bad throws sometimes. I mean, there was one to Kadarius Toney. One of the drops he threw was behind him. I'm not giving a pass to Kadarius Toney whatsoever. I'm just pointing out. I'm just pointing out Mahomes can't be 100% spot on every throw, and it's okay to admit that. But either way, that's a nothing burger. It's not. I mean, I don't think Blake Bell should be out there running a whole lot of routes anyway, to be quite honest about it. So it is what it is. He's more or less a blocking guy.
Hermes says we're out of our minds then. You certifiably are. I'm going to tell you right now, if you honestly go back and watch that play and you're being honest with yourself and I want to know why Blake Bell was at fault. Because he didn't run back to the ball. There's no way. There's no way. You guys are asking stuff you only see on Madden. Like these apparitions that just appear, and they'll like glitch and come forward 3 yards to catch a ball. Come on, it ain't happening. There's no way. Not even going to talk about it anymore.
I guess if he would have,
that's crazy.
I will add this. I guess if he would have been more aggressive and maybe put in a little bit more effort, he kind of could have maybe broke up the interception. I don't think he was going to catch the ball.
He was fighting for the ball. The linebacker just honestly had more hands on it than he did. He had a better angle. Mahomes, that was a bad throw. Mahomes should have never threw it. I don't care. Look, people will say Mahomes, he's just not going to throw Blake Bell under the bus. He don't throw anybody under the bus. You ask Mahomes behind closed doors if that was his fault or Blake Bell, and he's going to admit it was his fault 1,000% of the time. He should not have thrown that football. There's no way it wasn't required.
Well, that's my thing. Like, I don't care how
throw it in the dirt.
The receiver does. I don't care what the receiver does. If the quarterback throws a bad ball, it's hard to turn around and blame the receiver. So that's where I'll stop. But either way, man, big nothing burger. Doesn't matter. Like I said, he shouldn't be running a whole lot of routes anyway. But it is what it is. Maybe what we should focus on are some receivers who are paid to catch these balls like Kadarius Toney. Let's talk about Mr. Kadarius Toney. I know you said you're done with him. What would you literally do in this situation? Of course, you want to jump to, man, just go ahead and cut this dude because that's how pissed off you are right now, right? Like, cut him right there after the play. But literally, if you were in charge of this team, Mike, and you had to make that decision, he's still on his rookie contract with at least another year on that. What do you do here? Just bench him completely?
If Kadarius Toney, if I'm in charge, if I'm Brett Veach, I'm going to Kadarius Toney tonight. And I'm like, bro, you will not be here next year if you don't 180 this as fast as you can. And by the way, you're probably not going to be able to, because if I were Andy Reid, he would be getting 5 snaps a game. And if he's not coming out of the backfield, I'm probably not throwing it to him anymore. If I'm Mahomes, I'm over it, and I'm not even taking a chance. Mahomes has now thrown 13 interceptions this year, which leads his entire NFL career, and Kadarius Toney's at fault for like 17. Or, I'm sorry, like 7 out of the 13 of them probably.
17
This is
13.
insane. This is crazy talk. Like, I don't care if he's on a rookie contract. I don't care if the dude's playing for free. I don't care if you picked him up in a flag football game down at the YMCA. I wouldn't throw it to him then either. Like, the dude's not catching the ball. Like, he is so talented with the ball in his hand, but you got to get the ball in his hand first. So I don't do it. I limit his snaps. Fine. And honestly, I look to not even use him next year if I have to. If I have to start using Kadarius Toney more than being a gadget guy next year, I failed in the offseason again if I'm Brett Veach. Because MVS should be gone. He should have had his bags packed 6 months ago. Like, he stinks. Right. I don't even know if that guy could get a job at McDonald's right now.
It's pretty rough. And here's the thing. Like, in any profession, once you screw up a couple times, you're going to get reprimanded, right? Like, hey, or at least like you get the coaching. Like, hey, man, you're not doing this right. We've got to see improvement, correct? And then the next time it's like, hey, we talked about this already. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on paper here that I talked to you about this because you've got to get better. And then the third time, you're getting your ass fired. But for some reason, this team allows the receivers over and over and over again to make the same mistakes, and they're not doing anything to correct it from a coaching standpoint, obviously, at this point, if it's still going on.
Right.
So, I mean, what do? You bench them and you let the next guys come in and try. I mean, like, I'm with you. I understand that Ross was just on a 6-game suspension. He was inactive today. Activate him, get him out there on the field. He can't do any worse than what these guys are doing.
Let's see what Ross has.
Right.
Ross has been an experiment since day one. That's all Ross has been. It's taking a chance. It's buying a $1 lottery ticket and seeing if we can hit a jackpot. That's all it is. But you can't tell how good he is if he's not getting snaps and he's not on the field.
Yeah, I think Richie James also needs to get more.
Exactly.
I think he's had a couple drops too. Everybody owns a piece of the suck pie, if you will.
Right.
But I mean, he's not been a problem. I wouldn't say.
Right.
I mean,
so look, if Ross gets his shot and he comes in and he drops balls, he drops balls. What did you miss? You took out a guy. You took out 2 or 3 guys that's been dropping balls. You didn't take a step back. But let's look and see if Ross can do something going forward. If Ross continues to drop, then guess what? He can go next year too. Like, right. I'm so tired. I am tired of entertaining the idea that Patrick Mahomes must sacrifice the prime years in his career to keep throwing to water boys. And it's not happening. He can't do it. He cannot do it. We all said he could do it. Well, we didn't. But a lot of people said he could do it. He can't do it. You can't put a turd on 2 pieces of bread and call it a Subway sub. Matter of fact, I've had some subs that were that bad from Subway. But for the most part, you can't do it.
Yeah. I see Chief Kelce in the chat says Rice has the most drops. Should we bench him? I think the sentiment is it's not about the drops per se, but it's like, what are you doing to help the team? Like without Rashee Rice, we would be dog water.
Right.
Like this guy, we would be awful. He's the only receiver we got with a glimpse of hope.
1,000%.
So I mean, yeah, and he's a rookie. He's going to make drop. He's going to drops. He's going to fumble the ball. He's going to run the wrong route. But you got to keep going to him because he's one of your playmakers, and he's one that's going to make things happen. Kadarius Toney, we can go to him over and over and over again. We've done it all year, and he's not done anything.
The fact that Rashee Rice didn't draft himself to KC, okay, we knew the guy had drop problems. He had an 8 or 9% drop rate in college, and that was one of the knocks I put on him, and that was one of the reasons I said he wasn't a first or second round pick. I said probably a 3rd round pick. But you know what? Actually, even with all the drops, he doesn't tend to drop. Let's knock on wood here somehow. He doesn't tend. Let's knock it.
He have wooden teeth like George Washington?
At times that seem to hurt us as bad. Like he gets it and he goes. Kadarius Toney just keeps flipping the ball up in the air, bro. It's insane. Like he's got to know better. And yeah, I do know Rashee Rice's drops, but you know what? Like Steve, you said it. You are allowed to make mistakes. I'm not faulting mistakes. But when do mistakes become, this isn't abnormal, this is normal, and now you're just justifying being a loser?
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to fall back into, let's just all be happy and give everybody medals, and let's just all be happy, happy losers. As long as Kadarius Toney's having a good time out there, that's all that counts.
Now, for real, though, I think you do have to give Rice a shot if you're the Chiefs. It's not only are we tired of seeing these guys make the same mistakes, Mike, but they can't afford them to make these mistakes. And it's not just the receivers. We have an $80 million right tackle that cannot get it right in the red zone.
Dude, don't get me started with this guy.
So not only did Brett Veach not get the best quarterback in the league a viable target in the offseason, but he also spent $80 million on a right tackle who is killing our team in the red zone because he can't stop jumping off sides or holding or this or that. I understand he's a pretty good tackle overall. I get it, but he's not worth the trouble. I'm telling you, you could have paid the $24 million over 3 years to Andrew Wiley, and we would have probably been better off at this point. And there's a lot of money there to play with.
I don't know if there's much of a downgrade. Because look, as much as people say, hey, there's not been as many quarterback pressures, there's not been as many this, it doesn't matter. You can still tell Mahomes does not trust him. He escapes the pocket, he gets too antsy with it. He's drifting 13 and 14 yards out of the pocket. He was the reason Wanya gave up a sack today again, probably, because Wanya's throwing the guy by him, and guess what? He runs into Mahomes 17 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Like, why is he back there? Because he's already scared to death of these tackles. He does not trust them. He don't trust his wide receivers. This is crazy. Brett Veach,
he's in a predicament. Yeah.
Dropped the ball on Jawaan Taylor. He dropped it. I don't know if look, there's a few very questionable things by Brett Veach that have lined up. And again, it's masked itself because Mahomes has been great.
Right.
And then you had the Juju signing. That was a good signing. I seen Brian Parrott in the comments, and I'm not going to go back through and find it, but he said, why is it that Brett Veach coveted Juju so much, and then he finally went out and got him, and after one season, he lets him walk? My only answer to that would be they were scared to death of his knee. That had to be it.
You know what's crazy to me? Like, you're so scared of Juju's knee problem, but you'll have Kadarius Toney on the team, who's hurt every other game. It's like it's the same difference, and I know that he's not making $11 million a year, Toney. I'm saying, but the fact of the matter is, you could have took a chance on Juju's knee and not had MVS here and not been out one less dime. And to me, that's way more of a payoff because look, MVS has been a waste.
You paid Jawaan Taylor $80 million. That is a top tier, if not the top paid right tackle in football. They kept saying they wanted to line him up at left tackle. God forbid we ever have to get to that point, because left tackle and right tackle are way two different things. And this guy, again, take out his weird alignment issues and his false starting and this and that. But, dude, he's a red zone killer. You've got to be smarter. This whole entire team is just not smart. They don't look disciplined. This does not look like an Andy Reid team that you usually see. It really don't.
Strange.
And I think Andy don't even know what to do, because it's almost like Andy's like, dude, what do you do? Like, they know. They're adults. They're professionals, and they're just not getting it. Like, Andy's not going to scream and cry and act crazy. He's not going to pull a Sean Payton on the sideline.
He needs to do what he can do, which is sit their ass on the bench, man. That's his prerogative, and I think that's what he needs to do. Now, I mean, Jawaan Taylor, your right tackle, kind of hard to do that with, but there has to be some repercussions for him just screwing up over and over again. Do what you got to do there, get that problem fixed. But as far as
you telling me though, check this out.
Good Lord, man.
Right, $80 million on the right tackle, $80 million, and another up to $10 million, $11 million, $9 million, somewhere in that Donovan Smith range.
Mm-hmm.
So $90 million. We'll just say $90 million. Again, all the Jawaan Taylors don't go to this season, but still, you drop $90 million on two guys. One's probably going to be gone next year.
60 of it guaranteed, by the way.
Right. And it's like, dude, I think I would have been more serviceable signing a $25 million right tackle and using some of that money for a wide receiver core, possibly.
Yeah, that's common sense. But we
Brett
talked
Veach
about
just
that
shot it
in the
crazy out of the
offseason,
park. Right.
What do we talk about before the offseason even got started? Free agency. We were saying, hey, they've got to get some type of veteran receiver in here, and they need to look at a tackle, right? Well, what did Veach do? He goes out and I can't say what I was getting ready to say, but he goes out and jumps the gun and spends every dime we have on a right tackle. Right. And then we're just hamstrung from there. Now, I will give it to Veach. He did make a great signing with Drew Tranquill.
Mike Edwards has been good signings.
So those are two really good signings. So, yeah, as much as we will knock Veach when he's bad, I will admit when he does good. I think Veach is great GM, but
we talked about it today. Jerick McKinnon was a good sign to come back for a year. I think everybody wanted that. And I think he's done a good job of letting Derek Nottie come back for a year, because said in the preseason, a lot of people were wanting to write Nottie off, and Nottie's had a pretty good season this year.
We were one of them.
In the day.
We both said
that we didn't know if Nottie would make the team.
They signed him back for a year, and he's been good. So, yeah, I mean, he has done some good things. It's just like some common sense things. Like, why spend every bit of your cap money on a right tackle when you have other problems?
Dude, they must have valued him so high. Like, what did you value this guy as? Like a top 2 pick in the draft or something? Like,
I don't know. It's pretty strange. But overall, man, today's game could have been worse. Could have been a lot better. It seemed like a pretty comfortable win. It wasn't exactly a blowout. It ended up being 27-17, which is kind of weak considering who you're playing. But at the same time, it's more points on the board than we've seen in a little while. So we'll take it. But the team does have, like we've been saying this for weeks now, they've got to turn the corner. They've got to eliminate the mistakes. They've got to execute. They've got to start playing peak Chiefs football, because it's that time of year. There's not much time left. Like what you were talking about earlier, like, let's give Justin Ross a go, right? Maybe take the snaps away from Kadarius Toney or Skyy Moore, or whoever you got to take them away from.
Yeah,
we got to get him in there.
You got to give him all the snaps, but look, what was he getting? He had got like maybe 12, 13 snaps was like his top when he was playing. Let's give him 20 snaps. Why not? What can he do in 20 snaps? It's not like you're losing some great wide receiver and pulling some great wide receiver off the field if MVS has to come off for 20 snaps. Like, what are we thinking?
Yeah, that's my point. But we're so late in the season, man. I feel like they do need a spark in this offense, somewhat, to get them through. Because if they're going to win another Super Bowl, they have to be able to put points on the board, man. We talked about this last week. The defense can be elite. And if you can't put points on the board, you're not going to win a football game. That's just how the NFL is nowadays. So they've got to get it done. They've got to figure something out. And I think why not take a shot on that? The MVS is not getting you there. Skyy Moore is not getting you there. Kadarius Toney is, pretty much screwing you at this point,
right?
With his mistakes. So it's like, switch it up. See what we can do.
You're seeing, look, what you're seeing, what you're hearing right now, just everything about the Chiefs. Like, look, today we won as a normal being, like a hungry franchise trying to win. You know what I mean? Like, if you're the Detroit Lions and you're trying to get over the hump, boy, you're ecstatic over these kind of games. You won, happy-go-lucky. But I think at this point, we know what we have in Kansas City. We know what has been built, and we are on a championship mind frame. Every game is how do we get better this week in a goal to win that championship again. It no longer are the days where we just have to sit around and be just happy we won the game. That's crazy talk. Like, we got to keep pushing it. You got to keep pushing it, and you got to keep taking advantage of this window of Mahomes, because we've seen it too long. And we've seen it all around the league. If you don't have that game-changing quarterback like Mahomes, you don't have a chance. Bill Belichick's getting ready to get canned because Tom Brady left.
Right. Well, Mike, it's like this. We just ask you not to be hypocritical. When teams beat us in a regular season, like the Bills beat us the other day, it's like, oh, well, hang your banner. It's just a regular season game. So why are you hanging a banner for beating a really crappy team by 10 points?
Yeah. So
I'm not saying I'm not happy about today. I'm not in a bad mood.
Right.
I was hoping to see a little bit better, like a bigger step forward for the Chiefs. I think we did see some improvement. I will say that. So I'm not like unhappy. I just think there's still a lot of work to do.
There's a lot of work. The negative outweighs the positive, in my opinion. I think you're wasting one of the best defenses the Chiefs have put together in decades. You're wasting it
with a poor offense, and it's weird to have a poor offense with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
And again, you're only wasting it with a poor offense because you refuse to see what you have at the wide receiver position and address it, or you refuse to use them in the proper way. It's that simple. It really is that simple, and it's like beating your head against the wall. And it's just not clicking for you. And again, I think a lot of it can't really be put on the coaches a lot. I know people, Connor Embry, blah, 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 Matt Nagy, everything's somebody else's fault because we refuse to blame some players. But there's a lot of players that have to hold some accountability. At this point, you've got to stay on Kadarius Toney's ass. Like, if he's not going to get it, he's just not going to get it. Right. Look, you got to have a high standard. You should have a high standard to play for the Chiefs and to put on this uniform. And if you get chance after chance after chance and you can't pull it off, then guess what? You should have it to where we're going to go find somebody that will. That's how the Patriots kept building. That's how they built a dynasty. And guess what? We're not to the dynasty level yet because we can't keep it together long enough. We keep doing these weird slumpy things or whatever we want to do.
Right.
We got to figure it out. Do I think we're a championship team this year? We very well could be. But it's going to take a lot of mental fortitude, and we got to cut some mistakes, and we've got to do some very good inner reflection and figure out what the problem is, because week after week we keep seeing we're going to go back and look at ourselves. We're going to watch more film. We're going to take each other and hold them accountable. It's just not working. Like, it's weird. It's weird.
Right.
It's hard to see a team with Mahomes and Reid kind of struggling just to get wins. But that's what we're seeing right now. That's what we're seeing.
Right. Well, there's not much more to talk about with this game in particular. So let's just kind of wrap that one up, put a little bow on it, if you will, since it's the holiday season here. It's almost Christmas. But yeah, I think there were some good players today. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, check mark. You did great today. Good to see. Today. You took a lot of heat. Even from us, he's taking a lot of heat. And I think he's stepping up to the plate. So good on Clyde. Rashee Rice, another good day. Work on that ball security, young man. Other than that, looking good so far. Jerick McKinnon had a pretty decent day as well. And Mahomes looked decent for the most part. I mean, he made a bad pass here or there, but I mean, he had a pretty good day.
Today, I felt Mahomes played one of his best games, probably in a while, in my opinion.
Right.
Again, I think, he had a few drops. I think Justin Watson dropped one. Kadarius Toney obviously dropped and bobbled. Skyy Moore was fumbling.
Kelce.
This and that. He made that crazy play when he threw it to Kelce where, like, Creed snapped it in the dirt. That was insane. I didn't know what he was doing. And I think the one mistake he made was the Blake Bell throw. And again, people can fight whose fault it is. I just don't feel like he should have threw it. I thought it was behind him, and it just didn't make sense.
Right.
Let's
move on to the defensive side of the ball.
Yes.
L'Jarius Sneed still playing like a madman. Got to give him props there.
Right.
McDuffie, solid always. I thought that Jalen Watson had a pretty good game today. You saw him flashing. Let's see. Leo made a couple of good plays. Chris Jones, solid as usual. Didn't do anything flashy, didn't do anything spectacular, but doing what he does, being disruptive, getting a lot of eyes on him. Andrew Tranquill had a pretty good day as well. Like I said, the defense wasn't like super flashy today, but they did a good job.
Well, Turk almost had a pick. I mean, so that was pretty cool.
Well, it was Mike Dana, I believe. When Chris Jones tipped the ball. Yeah.
Okay. So, but Derek Nottie ended up with a sack. Charles Omenihu ended up with a sack. Drew Tranquill ended up with a sack. We ended up having 4 sacks.
It's crazy because I don't even remember there being that many sacks, you know?
Right. So, yeah, they did pretty well. I thought L'Jarius Sneed had another solid game. Look, L'Jarius Sneed, he's making himself a lot of money.
Yeah, he's about to get paid.
Like, we were very critical of him in the offseason, but he's kind of cleaned up some of the stuff we were critical about. He's not missing as many tackles.
The first 2 games of this year, he struggled with missed tackles.
Right, and he's not, like, he led the team in missed tackles last year. That's just what he does. He misses tackles. But this year, he's cleaned it up.
Yeah,
he's also cleaned up the amount of balls he's allowing his guy to catch. Like, he led the league in opposing receivers catching the ball on him.
Yeah.
Not no more. He's figured it out. He got over that injury that was holding him back in the preseason. I think he's done really well. He's probably made a lot of money. Will that be in Kansas City? I don't know. I don't know.
That's another conversation that we've had a few times. Right. We'll have for another day. This offseason will be full of it, I'm sure. But there's one more thing I want to talk about that happened in this game that I'm glad got itself out of the way. Butker missed a field goal.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, like, it's never a good thing when Butker misses a field goal, but at the same time, like, this dude's been perfect this year. And you know you're not just going to run the table. So it was good to see him get that out of the way in a game that wasn't, you know, no implications to that kick.
Did the announcer say that he hadn't missed a field goal since last New Year's?
It's been a long time.
It's literally almost been an entire calendar year.
So I'm glad they got their jinx out of the way. And
man, they were trying to jinx him, though.
Yeah, they do it every time.
Butker hasn't missed a field goal since the beginning.
They're still going to do it.
Yeah.
He's only missed 1 field goal in a year. Yeah, they'll keep doing it to him.
Dude, Butker was good. We forgot to mention Willie Gay. Willie Gay had a pretty good game today. He got that pick.
He did.
That was a pretty good game. And I also want to give a shout out. It was good to see Mike Pennell back out there.
Yeah.
Mike Pennell. He was a big reason that the run defense looked so good during our Super Bowl run.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And what's funny is I'm so used to I don't know why, just Mike Pennell being there seemed so normal to me that it didn't even occur to me like, hey, Mike Pennell, we got him back and he's out there. It's just like he was supposed to be there. Like we even talked about that, Mike.
Yep.
But yeah, it was cool to see that. Overall, still liking where the defense is at. You know, Nick Bolton's getting back in the groove. All the players are looking good. I think we're pretty healthy on the defense side of the ball, other than Brian Cook.
Right. So I think Chris Jones was a little quiet today, didn't you think?
I watched a lot of Chris Jones.
I mean,
he made
I'm
a
sure
couple
he's
of really good
triple
plays.
teamed.
He made a couple of really top. He batted the ball that one time when you were talking about Mike Dana almost getting an interception. He put pressure on a lot of the game. He was taking doubles and triples the whole game. He makes everyone else's life easier, and that's why I love Chris Jones. So, I mean, even when he's quiet, he's still doing damage, and that's what you got to love about him.
Right. You want to take some questions? Let's take some questions from people.
Yeah, let's do it.
For a few
before we get to the questions, guys, appreciate you being here. Hit the like button if you haven't. Also, if you're not a subscriber yet, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 20,000 before the end of the season. Trying to get there, scratching and clawing our way. But yeah, appreciate you guys being here. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, there are ways. You can see Nightbot in the chat. You can use Cash App. You can use Venmo, PayPal, whatever, and also patreon.com/allchiefedup. You can become a member there for $10 a month and get bonus episodes. And then also merch.allchiefedup.com. You can get merchandise. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for your support, and thanks for being here today talking about the Chiefs win. So
right. Also, check the description. We got links to Foco, our partnership with Foco. Check them out as well. They're doing some stuff. They just released a brand new Peanuts limited edition bobblehead set. It looks.
It's kind of cool looking though. Really, I saw
it. It's pretty awesome. By the way, the Chiefs bobblehead one sold out. Like the Charlie Brown.
This one.
Look, if you're a collector, you're crazy.
They're only 150 made. There's only 150 made.
Right, so and it's crazy. So only 150 made, but you can grab those, and you can use Chiefed Up 10 and get 10% off for your order.
It's Foco.com.
Right. Well, use our promo link in the description, or we don't get paid, Steve. So quit saying Foco.com. You say, go click the description and check the link.
Go click the description
and
click the Foco link there.
Okay, let's take some questions, man. Enough with the Foco, enough with the whatever. Let's go. KY, what's up? She says, how can they justify fining Reed and Mahomes for publicly criticizing officials, but the announcers do it during games, especially when they... Dude, did they not do that today? They made such a big deal over that holding penalty. And the funny thing is that one penalty they were specifically crying about the entire game, they didn't even show the proper... They showed the camera after the hold happened, and they were like, there was nothing there. And I'm like,
there wasn't much there. But my point was, Rashee Rice, they called him for an OPI, right? And that was a joke. And they literally were like, oh, well, that was open and shut. That's obvious.
Isn't that
OPI.
what everybody says? Well, the officials aren't human. The officials are human. They make mistakes. They're not robots. And it's like, well, okay, well, maybe they made a slight mistake. Let's go ahead and highlight it and get the whole world jumping on the Chiefs, get all the calls bandwagon. That's what they want to do. And by the way, this whole fining people for publicly criticizing officials, that is stupid. Yeah. That's a stupid narrative. And that, to me, sounds like you just don't want to fix your official problem, and you don't want people talking about it because you know there's something shady working. Yep. That's weird.
The fines will get bigger, too, because they don't want that happening. So
I'd have doubled down.
I think that the Chiefs should, if there's another bad call that determines the outcome of a game, do not hold back. I mean, double down on it. So it's what you got to do. Make a lot of money. I mean, if you got to give up, if I had to give up $10 to get my point across, I would do it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Brian Gales, this team reminds me of the Troy Brown Patriots team. Only wide receiver Brady had a defensive team. Yeah,
kind of a good comparison.
Brady. Did he ever really have great receivers? But, boy, you seen when they went out and got him a Randy Moss.
Yeah, exactly.
He looked pretty good that season.
One of the best offenses ever.
I think it's one of those things where it's tough to compare teams and this and that, but it's just, here's what you can control. You can control what the Chiefs do, as in Brett Veach can control the Chiefs. And he's seen that he thought the wide receivers were going to be fine, and that's where they were going to kind of skimp a little bit. He just made he made an error, and I think he would admit that. And
he didn't own it. He could have corrected it before the trade deadline, or at least tried, and he might have, but nothing got done.
Right, and I think he'll do that in the offseason. I think Brett Veach will overcorrect the wide receiver position. At least I hope.
He normally does that.
Let's hope something crazy don't have to happen, though.
He normally finds his problem and tries and overcorrects the hell out of it. So,
do you think he will take? Do you think he will maybe not re-sign Chris Jones, and now
that's
use
a big
that money?
Possibility. I don't like that, but I could see them doing that. I don't think that's where you shave the money off, but that's up to him. So we'll see what route he goes there.
Right. Jared Kilbane, what's up, Jared? Good to see you here. Hope you're a subscriber. Why do you guys think Reed and company are being so stubborn and way too loyal in regards to some receivers this season?
I think they have to be somewhat, Jared, because they have nothing else. Like Andy Reid is using the tools that he was given by the GM and management in general. They weren't given much. So, if he's not supporting them and backing them, he's going to lose any kind of, locker room chemistry, anything like that, or any faith in him as a coach. Then the receivers are going to be even worse. So I think he's in a position where he has to, no matter what. Same with Mahomes. He's not going to outright say anything either. They don't have anywhere else to turn to.
Isn't it crazy too? Like all these receivers they've had good moments and flashes, right? So it's kind of like you just want to see them to be able to get there, and they just can't do it. But yeah, I think he is being a little stubborn with, snap count some, but we have seen him back off. MVS is not getting as many snaps. We've seen Rashee Rice start to take more snaps. That's a lot different than what Andy Reid rookie wide receivers were getting in the past. So I think he'll get there. I don't know. I just don't think it's I don't think Andy's being like overly stubborn, but I do get your point. Like, this is the week, like, you have to show it. Like, look, Kadarius Toney kind of needs to take a step back. You can only support somebody so much and give them so many chances, and then it's like,
I mean, if you know Andy Reid, when they asked him that question, and he said, "We'll see," that's pretty much Andy Reid saying, "Yeah, we're going to do something here." I mean, that's just how he operates. If he wasn't planning on doing it, he'd say, "No, this happens, that happens," which he did add that part, but I think him saying "we'll see," that's pretty telling.
Yeah, that's true. Anthony, what's up, brother? He says, do y'all think Wanye played a decent game?
Yeah.
I don't think Wanye played horribly. I mean, I'll give it like average. I don't think PFF's going to grade him out of the wazoo or anything. Like, he's going to be somewhere in that 60 to 70, PFF grade.
Right.
It's serviceable. Again,
it's what you would expect from a rookie over on the left side, man.
He gave up a sack, but again, I think Mahomes drifted too far. Mahomes is out of the pocket. Mahomes is getting in a shotgun, 5-6 yards back, it seems, by the time he catches the ball from the line of scrimmage. And then Mahomes is still drifting back 5 and 6 yards. Like, Mahomes is not trusting this. He's not trusting it. And the funny thing is, you would think you would trust Toney, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, but Trey Smith was getting blasted today.
Yeah. Dude, Barmore was messing him up. Bro.
Yeah, Christian Barmore was like destroying him. That dude looked good today. Trey Smith didn't need that. Usually, I'm going to give Trey a little bit of a pass. He's not usually a pushover like that. He must have just been having an off game. Hopefully, there's not some kind of sickness going around. Apparently, that infiltrated Dallas.
Yeah, that's going to be their excuse. Now, right? That's going to be their excuse for the day.
Right. Again, Buffalo's a good team. Like, we lost to a good team last week.
You forget that Buffalo's actually good because they've struggled this year.
I kind of thought their window was closed, though. I thought they were self-imploding, and kind of they've done what we thought the Chiefs would do, as in rally and come together, play a little harder. Chiefs
they're kind of done that
so far.
I mean, they're playing with their backs against the wall, so they have to win or they're done for. So that, I mean, they're coming out swinging every game, and that's something the Chiefs need to play with that mentality, even though they're not necessarily like, if you want that 1 seed and you want to win the Super Bowl, you need to get in that mindset.
Right. Let's take a few more. Lennon Jace Ackerman. What's up, man? He says, how will Toney's drop affect Patrick's trust in Brett to draft or get his weapons without him wanting to be involved? So Patrick had a hand in bringing in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The entire fan base is Clyde's lunch.
Yeah.
So he picked that, and technically, I guess you got your moments that Clyde was injured and he didn't look very good, but Clyde's looked pretty good lately.
Yeah.
I don't know if Patrick had a hand in picking Rice, apparently.
Right. Yep.
So I think Patrick's always going to have that back and forth with Brett. Again, I think Brett misses on wide receivers a lot. I think that might be the Achilles heel of his entire draft existence.
And how much is that, Brett, and how much is that Andy and them giving their 2 cents too? I think they all got to come to a,
like, the buck stops at Brett Veach, right? Because he's the guy making the decision ultimately. But I'm with you. Like, there's a lot of people putting in on this, and I feel like the Chiefs want to draft system guys, and they thought Skyy more looked like their type of receiver.
Well, at some point, you got to quit taking stabs at receivers you know nothing about in the draft, and you're just going to have to go get somebody that can contribute, and can contribute because you've seen it.
But yeah,
go get a veteran, go do what you got to do. Yeah. I think that's a fair question there, Lennon. I don't want this to end up being a Aaron Rodgers Green Bay situation where he's not happy, because what you saw from Mahomes today and last week, he's not happy right now. They have left him hanging. He is frustrated, and he's starting to let it show.
Visibly starting to talk when Kadarius Toney done that drop and got that pick. So he's not going to say it publicly, but I think you're going to start seeing him maybe not throwing to Toney. Even if he's open, he may just throw into the double coverage somewhere.
I also do think no matter what the outcome of this season is, whether they win a Lombardi or not, I think that what has taken place this season is going to make him be a little bit more vocal with, hey, get me somebody to throw the freaking ball to. I think he will honestly say that, like, hey, you got to do better. You got to do better.
Yeah, because in the offseason, everybody was under the impression that, well, Patrick can make anybody good. And,
right.
and I kind of think everybody bought in. And I even thought maybe Patrick deep down was like, well, maybe I can. I think he's seeing now that maybe he can.
Starting to see that's not the case.
So it is what it is. We'll take just a few more. Let's see. What's up, Jared? I see you over there on Facebook. He said, what's up? Good to see you, Jared.
Yeah, what's up, Jared?
Hey, if you guys are on Facebook, go find All Chiefed Up on Facebook. Give us a like. We're trying to grow that platform a little bit. We actually had some videos that went over 1 million in like 2 days the other day. Of course, it's just all a bunch of Chiefs trolls because that's what they do. But yeah, find us on Facebook if you aren't. Find us on Instagram. Find us on X. All these. Tom says, what was Veach smoking when he said Toney could be a wide?
Man, wouldn't you like to know there, Tom?
Convincing Chiefs Kingdom that Kadarius Toney was your number one and you didn't need nobody else. May have been one of the biggest swindles in history.
We knew better.
But he pulled it off to a lot of people.
That's true.
He pulled that off. Let's hope he's not trying it again. I hope in the offseason he's not like, how can I make Toney work for 2 years in a row? Don't do it, Brett. Quit.
Go ahead and let MVS go. We're not doing that experiment no more. Toney, it's got to stop. Right. There's got to be some major changes this coming off season. Like I said, no matter what the outcome is, we could win a Lombardi and you still have like big time problems you got to take care of.
Yeah.
End of story. So, I mean, and hopefully, God willing, that's the case. That's the situation we're in. But they can't make the same mistake they did last offseason.
Right. We'll take one more here. Gary says, could Mahomes, seeing how AR's career went with Green Bay, affect his decision to stay with the Chiefs if they fail to get him weapons? Steve?
Yes.
You've kind of alluded to that in the offseason.
Yes.
And because we're under the impression that, hey, Mahomes does still need weapons. Like, it's kind of like you, anyone. And when I say you, I'm just not saying you. I'm saying, like, put yourself in your work environment. If you're the only person doing everything all day long and you know what I mean? Like at some point you're going to be
makes
like,
you quit your job.
Right.
Yeah.
You've got to give them some help. Mahomes cannot always be the guy that has to elevate everybody. Let's find people that can help elevate Mahomes to new heights. That'd be crazy.
Man, we said it all off season and no one listened. Thing about it is, Mike, Mahomes is a very competitive person. He wants to win. He also is not dumb. He knows he's very, very good and he has a short amount of time to display that, to get Lombardis, to cement his legacy. There's only going to be so long that he's going to get chat on by the management, not giving him pieces before he's going to get vocal and before he's going to get a little jaded and he's not going to want to be here. It's going to happen.
Right.
I know
Mahomes would ever leave though? No,
I know he loves Kansas City and it's a perfect fit for him. And I don't see Mahomes as that guy that would like throw a big fit and try to get out. But at some point, he's not going to want to be doing this. It's just all there is to it. He's too competitive.
Do you think, okay, look, if Mahomes makes whatever he makes, let's just say before he's done, this dude's making $1 billion. It's not going to be nowhere near that on contract money. But let's just say he makes this astronomical figure. So if he makes this and they don't win another Super Bowl the rest of the time, but he keeps making that money, do you think Mahomes is going to be happy when he ends his career? No. So that's what I'm saying. He may at some point, if that's really a thing, because he was supposed to have the nice, a nice little player friendly deal that could help sign weapons and keep people in Kansas City. And then in the offseason, even after he takes pay cuts and redoes some of his contract, that's still the thing. Well, we didn't have money to pay people. I don't know. Maybe stop giving MVS $11 million to suck and quit paying $80 million to a right tackle 2 days before free agency started.
And I also think that's why
penalties.
I also think that's why Mahomes had no qualms about being the highest paid quarterback in the league when it was time to do it. Like, just let's do this because what are you doing? There's so much that goes into it. And I do think to answer Gary's question,
is that what you say?
To answer Gary's question, the answer is yes. Could it? Yes, absolutely.
It could.
Like, that's the thing. It's like, I don't want to think it would, but that's definitely a possibility. I'm sure early on, Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, they all thought that was just a match made in heaven too. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, people can only take stuff for so long before, you got to do something.
Listen to this though. Aaron Rodgers wanted a wide receiver and they gave him MVS. Then Veach
he got
give
Devontae.
MVS. Then they give MVS to Mahomes. Why do they keep trying to pass this guy off as somebody that you want to give? They're like, look,
he's a fraud,
if Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes can't get this guy to play, this guy needs to be playing in the CFL somewhere.
It's easy to to trick people with a fraud, man. They're like, hey, this guy's 6'3", 6'4". He can run a 4.3 40. It sounds great. Sounds awesome. And then you get MVS.
Yeah. I think the overwhelming thing, though, is there's a lot of guys making a lot of money on this team, and they're just not living up to the contract. Not saying they don't have the talent, but look, they've not lived up to it. Frank Clark didn't live up to his. Anthony Hitchens never lived up to his.
Yeah, that was a bad one, too.
There's a lot of people. But look, Drew Tranquill signs a 1-year deal. He did. He lived up to it. Juju signed a 1 year. He lived up to it. Mike Edwards signed a 1 year. Noddy signs a 1 year. Jerick McKinnon. They've all looked pretty good. McKinnon's kind of took a step back, but he's 4,000 years old. He'll get it. That's in football years, not to offend any 32-year-olds out there. But by the way, I don't even know how old McKinnon is. How old is McKinnon, Steve?
Yeah, he's probably about 34. Let me check.
I mean, in running back years, that's like, what, 70?
Exactly.
But
he's
I'll say
30.
this.
No, he's only 31. He's younger than I thought.
He's had a lot of injuries.
I feel like he's been around a long time though, because I still remember him being with San Francisco and the Vikings, and it feels like he's been with the Chiefs forever. Yeah, he's 31 years old.
Yep. Mark from Facebook. Great times. I suppose very sad, but a win. That's the sentiment here, Mark. In my opinion, it's not that, everything's just doom and gloom, but it's one of those things, again, where it's like, we want these guys to win championships. This team's not on the caliber. And I don't even think it's a lot to do with talent. Maybe a little bit to do with talent in the wide receiver room because Brett Veach missed and didn't go do what he was supposed to do. But all of this is mental. It's falling back on the players. They're taking themselves out of scoring positions in the red zone. They're dropping balls. These are mental mistakes, and Andy can only do so much. Andy can't get out there and play it for him.
You know who it's not, Mike?
What?
Matt Nagy.
I don't know. I've seen people blaming Matt Nagy for the Mahomes interception.
Which one?
The Kadarius Toney one.
They probably blamed him for the Blake Bell one too. Like Matt Nagy did that.
Dude, I thought collectively Chiefs Kingdom's head was going to explode when the Fox crew today showed Matt Nagy and said that he drew up an excellent play.
Yeah. Dude, there were some great play designs today. And I understand. Just the same way I'll say it's not Matt Nagy's fault. Those were definitely Andy Reid's plays, though.
Oh, yeah.
There were some beautiful plays drawn up.
Beautiful Clyde screen.
Yeah, that was a beauty.
Before we go, because we're going to go in just a few seconds, Steve, give me your MVP on the day. Who's your MVP? You can do offense and defense, or you can just do all offense or all team. My bad.
Man, I don't know, but you know what? Just for the sake of him having to put up with a lot of BS and him showing up and then that catch in the end zone, I'm going to give it to Clyde.
That was definitely play of the day. That catch in the end zone was beautiful.
Yeah.
I've went scouring around. I'll have it on a short tomorrow. We always do the game recaps. I have found some great views of that Clyde touchdown, and dude, it is beautiful.
Man, what a catch, bro.
Better hands than our wide receivers. And that's another thing too. Andy has always trusted Clyde, and we said that. That's why we said Clyde wouldn't be traded and he wouldn't be cut. Mahomes trusts Clyde too.
Well, you saw today what Clyde was meant to do. Clyde was always meant to be a receiving running back. He's not the guy that's going to run the ball 85 times a game and pound the ball. That's not him. You look back at LSU, probably the greatest. They very well could be the greatest college football team of all time. If you think about everyone that was on that team, was that Burrow, Clyde, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson? It was insane, dude. But yeah, that's what he did. He caught the ball a lot out of the backfield, and he's very effective. And we haven't really done that with Clyde a whole lot,
Right. But yeah, I think I'm with you. I think Clyde and Mahomes are the players of the game. Mahomes had a good game. Mahomes had a good game today. Yeah. No doubt about it. And Rashee Rice was solid.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Rashee Rice almost hit the 100-yard mark. I think he was 9 for 91.
And Clyde, I think, just broke 100. He had 101 all-purpose, I believe. So those three was your trifecta today. Travis Kelce was nowhere to be found.
Shout out to Clyde. Shout out to Jerick McKinnon, and shout out to Rashee Rice for helping me out in my fantasy football playoffs today, since Tyreek Hill decided that he wasn't going to play today because his little ankle hurt. And and Pacheco, of course, had to have shoulder surgery. So
and I think on the defense, I'm going to go ahead. Obviously the play by Willie Gay was huge. I think that was a nice momentum booster there. But I think the secondary, I'm going to give it to the secondary. Snead had 8 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss.
Yeah,
had a good
Snead
game.
looked so good today. He did.
Yeah, Justin Reed, 7 tackles today, 1 for a loss. Mike Edwards was 3rd on the team in tackles with 6. He tied Leo. Dude, Chamari Connor had 4. That might be the most tackles he's had this year. Jalen Watson had a sack. So I think our secondary looked good today. And again, Bailey Zappi had a good first series, 2 series. But boy, it was all Hunter Henry. Like all you had to do was triple him like they tripled Kelce.
It was it was an ongoing joke between me and Mike that whole entire like first quarter or two. It's like, they're throwing the ball to Hunter Henry. Why are you even guarding anybody else? Like you don't even need to defend him. Just look where Hunter Henry's at. Because Bailey Zappi had him in his crosshairs, bro.
I mean, it's easy when they don't want to cover him, apparently. I don't know. But I'll say this. The Chiefs are on the verge. I still have this feeling like we're right there. If we eliminated the mistakes today, we had a great game.
Mike, I said this last week, and I'm going to say it again. Like, I feel like there's so much to correct with this Chiefs team, and I feel like it's very frustrating and pretty disappointing how bad the offense has been this year, especially since we finally have a good defense. And it just seems like, does this team seem like a championship caliber team right now? No, I don't think they do, and it's because of the offense. They just can't get it together, and they can't eliminate the stupid mistakes. But I still have faith in this team.
Right.
Because I feel like they are good enough to be what we think they could be. And they have Patrick Mahomes. They have Andy Reid. They have Travis Kelce. They have Chris Jones. I mean, you got L'Jarius Sneed balling out. I mean, it's like we have the pieces. We just got to get our house in order. And I do have faith that they can do it.
Yeah, and I believe that when the time comes, again, Kelce's looked a little off this year. I don't think
he's got to get his head in the game.
But I think when the playoffs come, you'll see Travis Kelce flip. I really do.
Yeah, he's got to get his head in the game.
I think they all want to win again. So I think maybe they just get a little too disinterested with the regular season. I mean, crap, they said they had the division locked up after week 5 or 6, which is insane because they're 2 games up now again with them to go.
Well, that's just because the Broncos suck.
Right. So they may have locked the division up for sure. At least they
finally
should at this point. And look, we got 3 more backup quarterbacks coming our way. So
yeah, what do we got? What's coming up next? Is it the Raiders Christmas game? Is it the next
game? Yep.
Jeez.
So you're gonna get Aiden O'Connell. Steve.
So Raiders. Is it Raiders, Bengals, Chargers? Is that how this goes?
Yeah, and Herbert's out. So I mean, look, the Chargers just got decimated by the Raiders. The Raiders are the toughest game on our schedule, I think, at this point. But the Bengals are good. And again, Joe Burrow might be a little bit overrated. Backup quarterbacks are out there performing, huh?
Before we jump off here, I want to just note one more very scary situation. Something that you don't think about when we're always like, Patrick Mahomes can throw it to the water boy. We don't need receivers. Well, guess what? Look in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow goes down, and their backup's been able to throw for over 300 yards a game because they have pieces in place.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the franchise.
They have pieces in place. They have such good receivers that he's just throwing the ball to him. He's trying to not make mistakes, and he's doing very well.
Could you imagine Blaine Gabbert
with our receivers? Dude, it's sick. It's sick. And I think Brett Veach has been playing with fire. It's like a kid playing with fire, Mike. Like sometimes they don't burn themselves, okay? Sometimes they don't. But that doesn't mean it was a good idea. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how the season's turning out. Like he's either going to get burnt or he's not. But either way, he shouldn't be playing with fire the way he's been playing with fire.
Put the matches down, Brett.
Let the boy watch.
Let the boy watch.
I feel it down in my plums.
Hey, man, I feel this victory down in my plums. But you guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us. I don't know how many likes. I'm not updated, but hit that like button on the way out. Thanks for sticking around and watching this with us. You can catch a replay of this tomorrow on Spotify, wherever you want. Share this with your friends. We're trying to get to 20K. We're like 18.6K, so we're getting up there.
Scratching and clawing. It's getting pretty close to the end of the season now.
It's getting close to the end of the season. It's getting close to January.
We gotta make a push here. We gotta make a push.
Maybe YouTube gets it together. Maybe YouTube helps us out a little bit, and maybe we get to that 20K. I think we're gonna get it. But yeah, guys. SWC 4QB. Toney got dropped. No, Toney just dropped everything. That's what
Toney
happened.
dropped the ball, son.
He dropped all the balls. With that being said, you guys have a good night. We'll catch you guys later. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
Heaven was a sight from my soul.